wherever you may be watching this transmission. You are tuned in to Trends in the Housing Market. Man, do I have a show and a half for you. I got a show and a half for you guys today. Today is the 24th of June, 2020. Woo! The year is just flying. We are halfway through the year now officially. Like we're three quarters through this month. And man, I don't even know what to say, man. It's like the worst year on record, but I got some good news. It looks like they're going to be reopening non-essential travel across Canada and I think to the United States this week. So this is a next step forward into whatever agenda they're trying to pull this time. Whatever they're trying to pull, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I just been back and forth into the markets and having a good time. Woo! Thanks for joining, guys. All right, guys, let's do a quick channel plug here, if that's okay with you guys. And Almost Canada, someone says, yeah! All right, let's go to a channel plug real quick before we kick off tonight's show, guys. If you guys don't mind. Only 22%, I think it's 21 or 22% of the people that actually watch my show are subscribed to it, or watch my channel are subscribed to it. So here are the upcoming shows for Can't Read Market Talk on Friday, and we do a market cleanup, and then we got Mike in the Night, Sun Goes Down Alone this Saturday. Don't forget to join, set your reminders for that. I'll be making you show updates as we go along. Mike in the Night was taken down, and I got it back up here. It was taken down. And it was just, I don't know why they just don't want me on here, but that's, you know. And Trends in the Housing Market back videos if you guys want to watch. And Can't Read Market Talk. I wonder who actually listened to some of the stocks I threw out there. And some stuff is doing pretty good, actually, believe it or not. I've been in and out of the markets real quick in a heartbeat, you know what I'm saying? And let's get to, hold on a sec here. Let me just fix myself here a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. All right. And guys, today, very important video I threw up that's already got blacklisted. Banned foreign ownership, 78% in favor. So guys, take a look at that one today. We'll be talking about that story tonight on Trends in the Housing Market, guys. Don't forget, guys, if you want to buy something on Teespring, a mug or Trends in the Housing Market stuff or really cool stuff, don't forget to pick it up and support the channel that way if you guys want. Doesn't matter to me. Anyway, anything's good. We got Liberty Returns in the house saying, I just wish housing prices would come down to a reasonable price. Who thinks the crash will happen this year? Well, here's the deal. They're hinging on foreign investing to come in to swoop up and clean up the deal, right? So there's a lot of foreign money on the sidelines waiting to buy up investments once they start to go down, right? So that's very dangerous. We've opened up our country. Here's my Facebook if you want to Facebook me. We have opened up our country to basically sell it off. And there is my Instagram, guys. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, you're more than welcome to. You are tuned in to Trends in the Housing Market. Oh, yeah. All right, it's already 7 o'clock. We are tuning in. We are going into regular time now. And I wanted to do a quick channel plug before I started the show off. So we got some big news coming out. And today's biggest story is actually coming out of Canada. Last week was Los Angeles, and if you missed last week's show, California, LA County, is actually looking at proposing vacant home tax, a foreign buyer's tax, and they were going to vote. I think it's in a couple of weeks that we're going to vote in California whether housing should become mandatory. I know it sounds socialist to do that, but still, in the position a lot of people are in right now in California, yeah, maybe that should at least be given. You know, I'm not a whole, I believe in work with what you get and stuff, but the positions California's in right now, I don't know, man. It's something. So, yeah, stage 2 to reopen in Toronto, David Xavier is saying. So, that's pretty good because then I did this morning, I made a pile of money off New Gold stock that me and Raven have been talking about on Can't Read Market Talk. So I made a pile of money off that, and I've been taking the profits and putting it into American Airlines, which is at like, I think $12 US a share. So even if it goes back to half of what it was, it's a good buy. So I bought a bunch of American Airlines and more Air Canada because it went down to 17 Canadian, I think, today. So I picked up more Air Canada today with the profits I've been making off all my gold stocks. So, and people are like, Mike, are you crazy investing in airlines? Are you crazy not to? Don't take my advice, guys. Do your own research. But think about it. Do you honestly, wholeheartedly think the world's going to survive without airlines? That we don't need airlines anymore? They could all go bankrupt? You honestly think they're going to let all the airlines go bankrupt? That we don't need aviation anymore? Might as well shut it down because of COVID? Airlines will come back and it'll all be back to normal in anywhere from 6 months to a year. So, depending on how long you want to wait. Yeah. So anyways, we got the comments brewing right now. People are joining the show. It is past 7 p.m. our launch time. So, guys, remember, when I talk about gold, silver, oil, investing, this, airlines, all that stuff, guys, pay attention. And do your research on that. Do not listen to me. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't even read. Okay, so what's going on here? Mike, Qantas News, 6,000 to be stood down. Are you talking about Qantas is going to lay off people? WestJet just laid off over 3,000 people today. So Western Airlines, Western just laid off 3,000 people today. Sorry, WestJet. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. 3,300 people today. Yeah, that's happening right now. But guys, airlines aren't going anywhere. We can't survive without airlines. We need air. What are we going to do? Start going by steam tramp? What are we going to start doing? Start rebuilding Titanics and huge ships to get us across the Atlantic, and get us from New York to Portugal in 4, 5, 6 a week? Stephen Sewell saying Ford Oakville might move to China. I love China. Rail Kevin Thompson saying get ready to pay a lot more to fly. Yeah, people still need to fly. That's the thing, guys. That's what we need to keep in mind, right? So, anyways, for housing, tonight's show we gotta ask. I'm gonna ask you guys tonight. Let's get to article scan here. There it is, guys. There it is. 78% of BC residents support banning for foreigners from buying real estate. Now, this is no surprise because there's a lot of countries you can't buy if you're a foreigner. You can't. You just can't walk in and buy a property if you're a foreigner. They won't allow you to. So here's the deal. This is something that New Zealand did. I did cover this in today. I did an independent video on this. A new survey finds that the vast majority of British Columbians are supportive of implementing a new government interventionist policies that restrict most foreigners from acquiring real estate. The problem with that is people buy 60, 70 properties and have never been to Canada, and they leave them empty. That's the problem. If somebody comes here, wants to raise a family, become Canadian, and understand what Canada's about, blah, 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 that's fine. Come in. I don't care. But buying 70, 80, 300, 400 units and never go to that country and hold the locals in their hostage is basically you're leaving the people in the country hostage. They're held hostage. They can't find a place to rent that's affordable. They can't find, because then they start blaming the supply and demand, and they're like, wait, well, this guy owns 400 places. And then another guy, apparently there's this rumor of a guy that owns over 3,000 properties in the city of Toronto, purchased in 2017 I think 2017 or 2018 when the prices went down. Buddy purchased thousands and thousands of properties, and he's never been to Canada either. So, Blade saying, Mike Martins, how bad do you see average people lives changing come September when CERB ends? CERB is the emergency funds. That's emergency funds that people have been, relief funds that people have been receiving every month. Now, the problem with that is Australia. I think Australia is going to be the one hit the hardest once they run out of that money. Australia is leveraged to the T. Canada's going to get hit hard, but I think tomorrow or this week they're going to open up stage 2 and let people start traveling. Once they start doing and people start getting movement, I think by next year at this time, I think it should be clear sailing. But for housing, I don't know what's going to happen. I think housing might dip. Should it correct? Yes. Would it correct? I don't know. Why? In any dimension, housing should be corrected. In this current situation we are in any dimension, except this dimension we're in. Why? Because our governments are so heavily tilted and binging on foreign money that either if they let it fall, they're going to actually piss off a lot of foreign investors, and they don't want that because then they're going to lose their vote of bringing all these people in. So you got to see what the government struggle right now. Does it sell out its own people? Sure. Its own people do nothing about it. So selling out its own people isn't something that's new that happens in Canada. So they've gotten used to taking advantage of us, right? So okay, so let's go back to article scan here. So you guys, what do you guys think? 78% of BC residents support banning foreigners from buying real estate. I think it's too little too late. See, New Zealand enacted that bill, foreign buyers. We covered it here 2 years ago on the channel. And prior to the ban, foreigner buyer, they're saying here, they're lying. Foreign buyers accounted for 3%. What a lie. How can you lie to people's faces like that and think it's okay when you have this? So when you have this, happen, how can you lie to our faces? Canada wants more Chinese, 500,000 per year. And people send me Canada, right here, 500,000 per year. Opening more visa offices could help Canada compete for Chinese workers, students in lucrative tourist business. But what about the workers here that can't find work? That's what I'm not understanding. I don't get it. It makes no sense. 500,000 per year, and they deport 10,000 Portuguese per year. It makes no sense. So that's what I'm not understanding. 500,000, and this doesn't go under Canadian Immigration Act. Like when you actually go to the Canadian Immigration Act under the Stats Canon stuff, it doesn't even show that. It doesn't even show these numbers, even though they exist. I don't know why why are they lying to us? What's the big deal? Just say, hey, our economy is not doing well here in Canada. So the only way we could save this economy, this failing economy, and selling our jobs off, the only way we could save ourselves is by selling you guys out to the highest bidders. We'll sell out your parks, your infrastructure, your gold mines, your coal mines, your silver mines, diamond mines. We'll sell out everything you have, and they'll use our healthcare for free. So that's the problem we're having in Canada and Australia and New Zealand and every free trade country. So if people speak out about foreign buyers issue, the politicians, real estate agents, and foreign buyers will just use the magic racist card. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything anymore. The word racist or racism has no value in the word. It means nothing. I'd be more offended if someone called me a toaster. Honestly, if you're a toaster or a towel, if someone called me a towel, I'd be mad. But if they call me a racist, I'll be like, okay, thank you. Who isn't? Mike, why you keep looking at 4-year-old articles? Because this, my friend, has been happening for years. Now they want to ban foreign. They tried the foreign buyers tax in 2017, which screwed up Seattle because everyone went down to Seattle. And then we couldn't stop them because they were bringing in hundreds of millions, billions of dollars laundered through our real estate. So we couldn't stop that. That was helping our economy. And it's created a mass exodus in our major cities. And this article is 4 years old, but it's relevant to what's happening today, right? G-Man just joined the family. Thanks for being a member of the channel, G-Man. Thank you so much. If you guys want to join the family, go ahead and join the channel. So there it is. I don't care if this article is even 10 years old, because this administration that actually allowed this, it's still in power today. Oh, Gary Medeiros is in the house. Gary Medeiros. All right, let's go to some other news. So biggest story of the day, BC residents support banning foreign buyers from real estate, says survey. People are getting tired of just having to because the boomers and all those people that are up there, they're going to start dying off slowly, right? They're going to start dying off, and then properties will go by the wayside, and they'll go to auction, and the Canadians can't afford to get into those properties either. So it's almost like the Canadians don't stand a chance. Axel Rose saying you should read articles from the 1800s. No, that's all been updated and erased and reverberated and rewritten and reread this and read that and read this and consolidated and brought back and refurbished. Anything that old has all been changed. Sean Lieberman says even if we have a ban on foreign buying, people will just have fake citizenship and permanent residence. I did cover a story on that 2 weeks ago where all these fake passports from China, tens of 100,000, 190,000 people were caught with fake residency and stuff like that. So AAA's Tignim is saying, hey, come on, Axel. No, that's okay. If people want to question why I read articles from 4 years ago, there's a reason why. Because it's all leading up from competing. Every country, like Australia's on the hook, so is New Zealand. When they compete for 500,000 Chinese per year to come into their country, to transform their country, this is 4 years ago. Look at where we are today. Now they want to ban foreign investors. That's how bad it's getting. Man, Seattle got screwed when Vancouver put on that foreign buyers tax. Anyways, and Toronto got screwed too. Toronto and Seattle got screwed once Vancouver put on that foreign buyers tax. Canada's National Housing Agency forecasts price drops in Toronto and Vancouver. So this is the National Housing Agency. Canada's state-owned mortgage insurer sees prices dropping in major real estate markets. Canada's Mortgage Housing Corporation, CMHC, is forecasting price declines across Canada. This week, they provided additional data showing the exacted impact. So let's go see what the additional data is. If they have a graph here, we could see. Toronto real estate forecasted lower for May numbers. Toronto real estate prices are forecasted to fall significantly or make small increases. The lower rebound of the forecast sees the average price falling to $739,000 in 2021, down 9.8% from 2019's average price. So they're looking at the average home price to go to $739,000. And that's still out of reach for most Canadians because it's just too expensive. People get taxed up the hilt in Canada, right? Okay. Vancouver real estate actually has one of the worst forecasts for a major city, with declines around the lower bound would see prices bottom at $809,000 by 2022. So this is just letting you guys know, $809,000. There's people in Portland, Oregon, or people, let's say in Kentucky, that make on average what a Canadian makes because they pay less taxes in Kentucky than they do in Canada, and in the conversion of the dollar, the whole 9 yards. So an average wage worker in Kentucky is having a tough time buying a house at $204,000 of an email that was sent to me from Kentucky. There was an email that was sent to me from somebody. And he told me at $204,000, it's hard. He's like, I don't know how you guys in Canada could get into an $809,000 house. To $809,000, the average. Let me see if I can get Gary Medeiros on the show so to find out if that's okay, or if I could get what's his face on Owen or one of the guys to find out from them if that's enough. If that's enough of a decline for them to get in the markets. Let's see if Gary picks up. Is this enough decline?
Hello.
Gary, what's up, brother?
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Gary, I wanted to call. I'm calling you because I want to ask you a question here. I know you're on the sidelines looking and waiting very patiently for a fairly priced home. You know, you don't want to overpay. So they're forecasting here. Toronto real estate forecasted lower for many numbers. So they're saying by 2021, the average price will fall 9.83%, and it's going to be sitting at an average of $739,000. Is that reasonable, or does it need to go lower?
I don't know. I guess it's a start. I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think that matches wages just yet. But I mean, it's better than over $1 million.
Well, Gary, I did some math on the back end the other day when I was taking some notes. Looking at the average wage earners in the city of Toronto and the Greater Toronto area. Okay, do you know what the average home needs to be priced at in the Toronto or GTA area? Do you know what it needs to be at, Gary?
Not exact. I don't know what the number is. I know
$407,000.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess, for wage purposes.
$407,000 is what the average higher end of the average wage earner, and I chose $58,000 to $69,000 per year per person for a person. Household family for a family, $407,000 should be in and around the right. $410,000 should be in and around for a family making gross income of about $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
that's what it should be. For $739,000, the average, so it's not average wage anymore. You need to make $179,000 a year for a
I believe it.
Yeah, for a $739,000 house. That's the problem, Gary.
Yeah.
So what do you see happening? What are you seeing on the ground in Toronto?
Well, you know what? I'm seeing houses. Some houses are selling for under asking. I mean, it's starting to happen. Where I'm looking, Vaughan, and pretty much it's a lot of things are selling for under asking now, which is a good sign in my books. Biggest story today, though, I don't know if you heard about this, Mike, but Canada lost its AAA credit rating today. We got downgraded to an AA plus or something like that. From AAA credit. So all of Canada, basically, that's a huge thing to happen. It's never happened in the history of Canada before. We got downgraded like that before. So, the fact that that's happening shows what's to come, I guess.
It has to do with the government spending more than what it's making.
Well, that too. But I mean, that happening in Canada is huge. I mean, that alone just shows you where things are and where things may end up being. So.
I have 3RG Gaming Podcast says 400,000 puts us to the early 2000s level. Do you know why that puts us to the early 2000s level, Gary? Because wages haven't moved in 20 years.
Yeah.
So, and if they did go up, you got taxed more.
Right.
So, okay, my wages went up since 2000, but how much more are you being taxed? That's the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
the question no one's asking. So now,
Okay.
Let me ask you, Gary. So you're seeing houses going a little bit under this and that. Are you seeing a lot of movement?
Things are selling. Sorry, what was that?
Are you seeing a lot of movement in the markets, like in the GTA area? Are you seeing movement?
Well, things are selling, I guess. I mean, what I'm seeing is there lots being listed. That's for sure. Listings are going through the roof right now.
Okay. So we might be seeing an oversupply in the next couple of months. If we do see an oversupply, this might trigger obviously a price decline because people want to unload and they're going to sell a few thousand less than the other guy. Then the other guy's going to go a few thousand less, and the other guy's going to go a few thousand less. Then they're going to start doing. But the problem is a lot of people are underwater, Gary. That's the problem. Like they owe
Yeah,
more for
no,
their
it's true.
yeah, they owe more for
I
their house
understand,
than what
which
it's
is why
worth.
they're listing their. But everyone's listing their homes now because so many people are still laid off, which a lot of people don't realize. Whether we're in stage 2 of our opening or not, or whatever the situation is, I mean, there's a lot of people still sitting at home, right? I mean, there's a lot of people laid off that people don't want to admit to. So those people, if they don't get their jobs back or whatever the situation, they have no choice but to unload their house, right? I mean, it sucks, but that's the reality. Yeah.
Are they having openings
People.
there?
What do you mean by openings?
Like
Open
going to
houses?
see properties? Are they allowing that again or?
I'm not sure actually in that department. I think you can go there. I know you can set up an appointment to go see it privately, but as far as open houses go, not that I know of.
Okay. Okay.
It could be happening, but I haven't seen it myself yet. So.
Yeah, so 700. So by 2021, they could see prices falling by $739,000. I mean, people need to be really well off just to get into there. And Gary, we're not talking about buying the house free and clear. We're talking about getting a mortgage and all that stuff. $739,000. You're going to end up paying back 1.46 million when it's all said and done. When the mortgage is done.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's pretty tough. That's a pretty tough pill to swallow. Are you on the sidelines or did you give up yet?
I'm still kind of looking. I mean, I'm not buying now just because the economy's too messed up, man. I mean, whoever's buying a house now is nuts because I definitely wouldn't buy at a time like this. But I'm looking, but I'm not buying just because of what's going on. It's too risky to buy right now. I personally won't do it. I just think it's too much of a risk. I see prices dropping, so whoever's buying now and paying $1 million or over $1 million, I mean, if you got the money, good for you. But I'd be pretty pissed off if I bought $1 million house and it drops to 900,000 or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I just, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable buying a house yet, especially now with such the economy the way it is. So.
Let me ask you, 78% of BC residents support banning foreigners from buying real estate, says survey. What do you think of that?
Well, it just shows people are fed up over there, I guess. I mean, I think it's too late. I mean, I think that the damage is done in BC as far as foreign buying goes. Even in Toronto, Ontario, I guess we'll say, or in Toronto, whatever. I think the damage is done as far as foreign ownership goes.
Yeah,
and I'm not. I mean, some foreign buyers come in and buy it for the right reasons, but there's a lot who also buy for the wrong reason, and that's what caused all this problem in the first place. So.
Right, I'm on the same boat as you when it comes to foreign ownership, where they come, they raise a family, they have kids, they live in the house, right? And
that's fine, yeah. I mean, but if they're buying it and leaving it empty, like what the heck is that all about? Like, it just takes away from the Canadian proper, right? I mean, whoever wants to buy a house and has the means to buy it, and then they get outbid outbid like crazy just for someone to get this house, and then it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that own several thousand properties in Canada, and they've never been to Canada.
Yeah,
and
that's what I mean. How many houses must be empty, both in BC and in Toronto or in Ontario? Let's say
a couple of 100,000. We covered that about 8 months ago.
Sure.
Yeah,
and it's still there, right? Or if not even more. I mean, I know that immigration is slowing. I mean, there's no point in bringing immigrants in a time where our unemployment rate is so high. It doesn't make sense to bring people over if they can't get a job. So they've slowed down immigration. I mean, it's things we've been talking about for years are finally seem to be happening. It just sucks that it took a virus to do it, because at the end of the day, a correction should have happened already, but it just sucks that a virus had to trigger it. But it is what it is, I guess.
So are you? Do you think you're going to be out? You're going to be going out or moving away to a more affordable area, or are you just going to stay where you're at?
I don't know. It depends where prices go. I mean, I'm looking in Vaughan right now. I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm not buying anything right now just because the economy is there's too much uncertainty, man. I mean, it'd be crazy to buy. Yeah, maybe by the end of the year. It just depends what prices are. I mean, if something good comes up, if it's a good price, I'll probably buy it. But I mean, right now I'm just kind of watching and seeing if, I mean, like I said, if something comes up, great within the reason. But other than that, no, I'm pretty much gonna sit on the sidelines, wait this thing out because
I don't
I think
blame
the
you, bud.
economy's too messed.
I don't
It's
blame
too
you.
messed up to buy, man. I mean, anybody who's buying right now is crazy. So you know what? I definitely wouldn't buy at a time like this.
Well, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, bud. All right, Gary, thanks for coming on and giving us an update. We haven't chatted in about a month, so it's good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's been a while. Thanks
Hey,
for having me, man.
hey,
Thanks
take
for
care,
having me on.
brother.
All right, you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
That is our man Gary Medeiros from Toronto, who's been waiting on the sidelines for a while. And I am very, very just. So let me ask you guys in Toronto in the comments below if you're watching this on replay. If you're watching this on replay, now it says here the average price will fall in 2021 to $739,000 in Toronto for an average home. And in Vancouver, it will go bottom out at $809,000. Let's go to article scan. $809,000 in Vancouver, it will bottom out, and $739,000 in Toronto. Is that low enough for the average wage earner to get into a property? Or is the average wage earner going to have to move to South Dakota so they could afford to own anything? Is that what's going to happen, right? So let's move on here. Ontario sees the biggest outflow of residents since 2015, while BC and Quebec see inflows. Why? BC is saying massive inflows, and again, that is coming from Hong Kong, and Quebec is seeing inflows, and that is coming from mainland China with the agreement that they have to bring in. Here, let's read this here. Quebec could be seeing inflows from migrants from Ontario, too, that can't afford to live in Ontario, and Quebec's still semi-affordable, right? So watch out for that. Hold on. Pandemic, nobody cares. Ontario is the biggest loser, seeing more Canadians arrive in a quarter. But hold on. My buddy that works at the Toronto Pearson International Airport, just before this thing broke out, tons and tons of people were moving back to Europe with one-way tickets. Greece, Italy, Portugal, Spain, France. People were moving to France. Tons of people. Even though they're having these yellow vest movements and uncertainty, they're leaving Canada in huge numbers. So, I mean, that could be one outflow tap, a movement that's leaving Ontario. So interprovincial BC continued. So interprovincial migration. That's what I'm talking about. People moving from Ontario. Now the province that doesn't need a net provincial migration to be a positive growth, population can grow with higher birth rates and deaths. But we're not growing by birth rates because no one could afford to have kids. The Canadian proper is not having kids. Ontario's net, we do have a lot of birth tourism where a lot of people from China come and have kids. And they get citizenship. Ontario's net interprovincial migration has been trending lower. So here it is. This is Ontario net interprovincial migration, and it's trending lower. People can't afford. Too expensive. BC's net interprovincial migration rise. On the flip side of the market in British Columbia, which has seen growth accelerate of net interprovincial migration, 3,247 people in Q1 of 2020, up for 2,024 people last year. The 12-month rolling sum. So where are they coming from, these people? Quebec sees the biggest gain of residents from other provinces in half a century. Why? Again, Ontario. People getting out of Ontario. And I know that they have a program with China where Chinese come in and they get citizenship if they pay so much money, right? Despite the pandemic, interprovincial migration was actually accelerated across the country despite seeing decent population growth in Ontario, seeing more and more people leave the province. Ontario is becoming, Ontario and BC, I think BC too. I don't know where they're moving in BC, to be honest with you, because it's so unaffordable. We just went onto this article, and the average home is going to be down to 800 and... Average home by 2022 will be 809,000. Will bottom at 809,000. The benchmark price will bottom at 809,000 in 2022. It's not going to fly. This won't work. This is not going to work. That's a huge people moving interprovincially. Major Canadian real estate markets that reopen see inventory explode higher. Like Gary just said in the chat that there's an oversupply. Let's see if they have a graph here showing us an oversupply in the markets. So seasonally adjusted sales to new listings ratio in select Canadian residential real estate markets. So here is Halifax. So you're seeing an oversupply in some of the markets here. Oh, okay. I see what you're seeing. I see what they're saying. The change in the month. So April, May 2020, April 2020, and you're seeing some of these ones like this. Ottawa, Hamilton seeing more. Quebec is seeing more on the market. Kitchener. So this is sales to new listings ratio. And sales to new listings ratio change. So if you're here, so these ones are like kind of like winners because they're ahead. Hamilton, Kitchener, Quebec, Niagara, Toronto, London, Ottawa, and then losers are Winnipeg, Windsor. So these ones here are seeing an oversupply on their markets and people not not making ends, not selling as they put more on the markets. Real estate markets with losers, restrictions see inventory jump. You're going to see, again, an oversupply on the markets, and that's where it's headed right now for most Canadian cities. All right, Toronto home price is not expected to bounce back till 2022. We just read that in the article there. Okay, and let's see if we could get Steve is in the comments. I think I saw Steve in the comments. I'd like to talk to him. I haven't talked to Steve in a while. Well, I talked to him the other day. He asked for pictures of my car. Let's see if he picks up.
On the mic, what's your beef?
Yo, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
It's good to talk to you. You haven't been on the show in ages.
Yeah, I've been busy, man, working around the clock. House prices are so bloody expensive. I gotta go to my third job.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay, I want to ask you something. I was on the phone with Gary Medeiros, and we were discussing the price of housing. So for prices in Toronto, they're going to bottom out at $739,000 benchmark. Do you think that's low enough to get the average wage earner in?
No, absolutely not. Not Toronto proper, absolutely not. No.
Because I did some math, and the average family needs to make about $160,000 to afford that.
Wow.
Yeah, like
okay.
well, that's gross, right? And then you get taxed like 30% of that, right? And then on a $739,000 mortgage, let's say at 2%, you're still paying quite a bit.
I agree, and they better not have any decide to have any kids because they need both incomes at 80 large.
No, they do. That's the higher end, but average. But the average wage, basically don't stand a chance to get into their own cities they were born and raised in.
A lot of people are leaving Toronto right now.
Yeah, I just read that article. Canada is having a massive exodus.
They sure are.
Where are they going? Are they going to Quebec or are they going to like Nova Scotia? Where are they headed?
I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I don't know. If people are leaving the GTA, like Toronto proper, right, left, and center, because they no longer have to pay, $2,500, $3,000 worth of rent, because they got to live and for the purposes of working in Toronto proper. They subsequently now can work remotely. They don't have to be in Toronto.
But
their actual employer may no longer be in Toronto in the next year to 18 months.
Yeah, a lot of companies, if they reopen, it's going to be outside of the big cities now. They're not dealing with the big city anymore.
Why would they?
So what are these cities going to do with taxes? How are they going to generate the revenue to keep this infrastructure afloat?
They're going to tax the crap out of everybody that lives there.
Do you see a city value tax added on, like a 3% tax added on to the city?
Hey, if Chicago can try and do a sugar tax, Toronto will do the same thing. They'll try anything.
So they're going to start telling people, oh, the sugar is rotting so many people's teeth and kids are getting sick and obesity, so we're going to add a sugar tax.
However, which way you want to sell it.
Wow. So what are you seeing on the ground there?
Well, I'm pretty sure we discussed it once already, but yeah, there's a lot of mortgage deferrals that are obviously were only given for 3 months, 90 days. Make no mistake, you had to have an insured mortgage in order to get 60 days 6 months granted to you. But if you had a regular mortgage, conventional that is, uninsured, you were given 60 to 90 days. You were not given any more. And now 90 days for many people is fast approaching, or maybe already have come and gone, depending on when they started to defer. But in any event, the banks are saying, well, we're not going to basically defer your mortgage any further unless you have a plan. Are you going to sell the house? Or can you prove that you have gainful employment to go back to? Do you have a return to work date? Can we verify it?
You told me that story about the verification letter, and I made a video about it.
Yeah. So anyhow, the banks are actually calling, and these idiots, they forgot to update their. They forgot where they didn't work, Mike. And the bank called, like, yeah, we need to verify, return to work date, was verbally calls HR, and yeah, Gary Medeiros says he's returning to work in 45 days. Who the hell is Gary Medeiros? He's never worked here a day in his life.
So,
fake job letters, fake pay stubs, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's actually quite humorous, and it's happening right, left, and center. And we had talked before, Mike, and it's like, how's the Canadian proper qualifying for these mortgages when house prices were going up 20, 30% year over year without wage increases? And it's a lot of fraud.
So somebody was in the comments actually hit it out of the park. They say if housing has to go to an average in the big cities around 400,000, that brings us back to 2020 year, the average 2020 house pricing. But if you look, wages haven't changed since 2020, and if you did get an increase in pay since 2020, you've paid more tax.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
That's what I'm saying. They need to go back to the average house for the average wage, high-end average wage earner, not high wage earner, but average, needs to go to about $406,000.
Okay, when you said 2020, you mean 2000?
2000. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I meant 2000. I'm so sorry. 2000. Yes.
Okay, no. I got what you mean.
We need to go back to 2000 prices because wages haven't moved in 20 years, right? And if they have, you've paid more tax. So there's no way in and out about it. There's no questions, no debate about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to pay more tax and take it on the chin. So, it's actually quite humorous when you think about things and how everything's unfolding. It's just be clear in the comment section and whatnot. Gary Medeiros is gainfully employed, and I'm just picking on him. He's a buddy, but anyhow, nevertheless, yeah, it's interesting how everything's kind of sort of coming to a head, and a lot of things are happening, and a lot of we never thought would actually come to fruition. The banks have, and many lenders for that fact, they have some pretty big problems on their hands. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. They definitely do. They definitely do, and I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think the banks have nearly enough liquidity in their reserves to hedge against a massive crash like this.
Well, yeah, I guess they could probably weather the storm of 20, maybe 30%. I forget that there was numbers that were given out, but in any event, I honestly see banks pricing in risk further. They may not touch interest rates. the overnight lending rate may actually just stay where it is for a little while. They're talking about they probably have to raise interest rates by 2022, which is probably a fair statement because inflation is going to run away on us, and that the Bank of Canada is not going to let that happen. However, as we go through the inflationary period here and measures and whatnot, if you will, I think the banks will probably go ahead and they if they're going to do a deal and it's not 100%, they'll either not do the deal or they will go and they'll scrutinize that deal and they'll slap some sort of an additional interest charge on there for the risk.
Right.
And they're totally entitled. They can do that. They can sell a mortgage and lend out money at whatever rate they want, at whatever conditions they want, within reason. But apparently the Consumer Protection Act doesn't, as long as it's clearly stated, you basically can sign on the dotted line and pay an additional interest rate in order to get it because you're high risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
That's
what's going to happen. I think a lot of people that are on these other mortgages, like secondary, third-party lenders, I think that a lot of them will just throw in the towel.
We get out of the business altogether.
I think the people, the borrowers and the lenders might get out of business. Like everything might just go default. You know what I'm saying?
Well, quite possibly. I think if house prices start to come down like you're talking, 10, 15%, continue to recede, and I think it'll come back in line with risk versus reward. And when it's within wages, it's actually a good business to be in because the risk is not elevated when high house prices are there, and lenders know they know what's going on. They don't. Everything's very risky and volatile right now because of employment issues, and a lot of people are carrying off way too much debt. I think it's close to about 15% of mortgages within the GTA are underwater right now.
That's a huge deal because that's more than enough for it to. Remember when you asked me about a year ago how much percentage do you need for houses to be underwater? How much percentage of the current housing population do you need to be underwater? And I said 15 to 16%. Once 15 to 16% is underwater, you'll start to see a huge slash in prices. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I remember that, and I mean, that could very well happen. I think right now with the supply going on, and I checked this
oversupply.
Oversupply. Gary told me to check it out, and there's in the Vaughan, Richmond Hill area, Toronto there's a lot of listings, Mike, and they're stacking up, and they're not selling. That the average days on market is going to continue to climb and climb and climb, and supply is going to continue to stack up, and at that point, it's anybody's guess where house prices are going to go. And if you want to guess that they're going to go up, you're probably binge drinking.
Yeah, binge drinking. Woo! Okay, are we going to see a rush in on foreign investing? If there's a deal.
No.
No.
No. Foreign investment, that's not going to be the case. And if that happens, you can bet that the government's going to have to do something, Mike, because they can't have foreign investment continuously coming in like droves like that. That's not going to work. That's going to really, really, really affect us. So.
Okay, I just wanted to ask. Now, let me ask you, weigh in on this article we have. 78% of BC residents support banning foreigners from buying real estate. What do you think of that, Steve?
I think if BC actually does it, Toronto might follow suit. But I think if governments were smart, they would start taxing those foreign investors.
They are. They put
because
the
they're
foreign
going to need
buyers
the
tax in
revenue.
BC, and that's how you guys got screwed in 2017. Once they put in that foreign buyers tax in Vancouver, everybody rushed to Toronto, and the other half went to Seattle and screwed that market up.
Yeah.
So it was in the article I read. I read many times. The saying foreign investors are skipping Vancouver and heading in quick pace to Seattle and Toronto.
Well, I mean, if it comes, they're going to have to.
Hello, Steve? Are you driving? Oh, he's in Atlanta. He's probably driving somewhere.
That's going to prevent.
Steve, you're breaking up, buddy. Steve, you there? Steve? Well, we lost Steve, man. We lost him. It's okay. He's probably in the middle of working, and okay, we lost Steve there. No big deal. Okay, so here's the deal. So that's what's that. Let's move on to the United States of America, Seattle area. Let me talk to Lord Humongous. What the heck is he talking about? He's talking about something of liquidity, something's happening in England, or something's happening somewhere. And he's in the comments. Hey, Lord.
Yeah.
You were saying something in the comments about something happening in England or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, their economy's in trouble. Just like it's even worse than the U.S. if we were to go through a collapse.
Yeah, because they're having
smaller. It's a much smaller economy. You know, even Canada could handle a collapse better than the UK. You know, that's why it's one of the financial hubs.
Okay.
With the Bank of England, they're having all kinds of problems.
Yeah, I know they were having issues because of a majority of their property, like one in three properties are empty, are foreign investor owned. 1 in 3, and I know they've had this issue there with building issues because they kept blaming supply and demand, but no one's factoring in the I don't know how many, 600, 400,000 empty homes, right? So no one's factoring that into the equation. So let's go over to some American housing here.
That's been going on for decades, Mike. I mean, these big billionaires would come in, even in London, the city of London, and they would buy up these mansions, and they would just sit there and let them dilapidate back into nature.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, the governments play housing, and it affects the populace of any country. It doesn't really matter what it is. These are all government plays. This is your corrupt government.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are a lot of reasons why we have these price wars, Chinese investors, foreign investors. Now they're bringing all that stuff and they infiltrate the country and they steal technology and they got spies everywhere. I mean, it's been going on for decades. But now China's been trying to hit the whole West Coast. They did for this last decade, as far as I'm concerned. And that's how they get their agency.
They started hitting California 20 years ago with foreign investing, and up until the last 10 years, it got worse. They did Oregon and they did Washington State.
Right, but all that money laundering plays into all these actions. You know, they're pumping up the phony money supply. You know, making the actual hard cash, if you want to call it fiat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then you got the Fed just adding trillions upon trillions for other stupid projects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a never-ending cycle. That's why, you know, until fiat actually completely collapses, which the U.S. Federal Reserve note will be the last one to go, that's when you're going to get a big reset. And I think that's why they're trying to reset gold right now and peg that to.
Tomorrow, Friday, we're gonna be talking about the war on gold. Okay, on Friday on Can't Read Market Talk.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead. We'll go with the housing. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic.
No, I don't mind you going off topic. That's fine. It all deals with housing in the end. If you can't have housing for the middle class, you don't have an economy, period.
Yeah. I mean, what good is it going to do Canada if it goes down to 809,000? I'm assuming that's Canadian dollars, right?
Right. So that's about 630,000 US for an average 3-bedroom home.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's way overpriced. Way overpriced.
And we're taxed more than you guys too.
That's another part of the scam, though, Mike, because like in Toronto is a big financial hub. There's a lot of businessmen that came from Toronto that have been there for years,
Hmm.
and they're all in the markets, and they're all in finance, and it's just one big mess. It just depends on where you're at. That's why they drove the prices up sky high in these areas. There's a lot of financial activity that goes on,
All right,
and that's what.
I just want to throw in some American housing since you're in the United States. Seattle area housing market springs back after tough April. So it looks like a King County or where you got family that live out there, right?
Well, King County, Chaz, it's free, man. All you got to do is bring a tent, come down to the autonomous.
Yeah, but okay, let's talk serious here. Seattle area housing is bouncing back after a tough April. Portland area housing market pending sales, new listings surged in May, paving the way for a June boom. So it looks like a lot of Portlanders are looking to pack up and move east to Arizona, New Mexico.
Mike, I am talking realistic. These people, the homeless problem in Seattle is a direct result of all of this stuff. Even all the way down, you got to factor in every homeless person that gets booted out of his house because some banker stole his investment.
Right.
His his home where he's supposed to raise his family at.
Mm-hmm.
This is what these bankers have created. It's their mess. It's a central banking mess. It's going to fail. I don't know. The whole mortgage thing needs to go away, or it needs to be reset at a fair level where people can actually live.
Yeah, well, or wages need to go up 40%.
4,000%, 40%.
Okay, Portland area housing market pending sales, new listings surged in May, paving a way from June boom. Let's move to your next place here, your favorite place here. Oh, they're not letting me read it, those pricks, eh?
Wait, what is Gaz?
Nope. As efforts collapse to place homeless in hotels, LA officials propose new $800 million plan. So since the COVID thing broke out, a lot of the hotels weren't seeing any action in Los Angeles. So now they're placing homeless people in hotels now.
That's another scam. They just busted a Los Angeles city councilman for fraud and running illegal operations. Basically, he was stealing all kinds of money. But yeah, no, it's the commercial, the tourism, hotels. They're all affected by that. It all has to do with the money cycle.
But what if they get some sort of plan? The hotels get a bailout from the governments, but they have to have homeless people in them.
I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know. All I know is that we don't have much time, Mike, and that's why I'm such a proponent of sound money, gold and silver. Because that's going to crack 2000, and once it cracks that new high, it's off to the races, bub, for gold. I mean, I'm thinking, who is it? Somebody just came out and said they moved the price target from 3,000 an ounce to 10,000 an ounce for gold, and that's very realistic to me. I still think it's undervalued.
Yeah, well, that's a huge movement of the goalpost there.
The whole world's playing a non-sound money game. They have been for a long time. That's the only thing that's going to correct it.
All right, so we got another one here. Texas landlords are filing hundreds of illegal evictions.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense. The whole market is screwed up, Mike. The residential just started collapsing the other day. If you saw the sales starts for residential real estate, big drop off. Look at the graph. Tell your listeners to go look at the graphs. Go look at the sales start. Don't listen to what the National Association of Realtors is telling everybody. They're lying to you. They're all filled with liars. The last person you want to ask to buy a house is a real estate agent. He's gonna lie through his teeth. Oh, the market's great. Oh yeah, best economy ever.
My favorite is if you go to the city council, the city councilors. A lot of them are property owners in those cities.
A lot of them are crooks, and they're all in bed together, and they're all corrupt. And all they do is they fleece the local citizens out of their hard-earned money. That's what it is. It's at a local level too. This is what sound money is going to stop. All the manipulation, all the high frequency trading on the stock market. I mean, it's just a mess, man. All these billionaires that they're out there, they all know what's going on.
Yeah.
They're laughing. They're laughing. They're laughing at 99.9% of the world. And when it all blows up in their face, and they're hanging from lampposts, I wonder who's going to be laughing then.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. All right,
You know what I'm
Lord,
saying?
I'm going to let you go. We're going to do a Friday show of Can't Read Market Talk on the war on gold. So that's going to be this Friday. If you could come on, let me know.
All right, that'd be awesome.
You stay out of trouble, okay?
I try to do my best, my friend.
Okay. Send me a link to that article you told me where they want to move the realistic price of gold to what you told me. Send me a link if you find it, okay?
I will. I'll send it to you.
All right. Thank you so much, brother.
All right, brother.
Bye. That is Lord Humongous from Denver, Colorado, and he is, man, is he ever upset at what's happening. So I read the articles of what's happening across the U.S. COVID is the drop in Dublin rents here to stay. So rents have been going down in Dublin, Ireland. They're asking, rents have gone down, and from, what is this, a one-bedroom, that's a lot. Some places we're looking would have been 1,600 euros for a one-bedroom. Wow. So you think you're paying a lot of money? Guys, you think you are paying a lot of money for rent? These people are paying 1,600 euros for a one-bedroom. That's like 2,000 Canadian for a one-bedroom. Well, that's probably what they're paying now in Toronto and in Vancouver. Holy crap. Yeah, Owen's upset because it takes him hours to get into work sometimes. Council proposes to spend an additional £9.3 million on temporary accommodation to house homeless. This is in Scotland. Scotland right now, in Edinburgh City, they're having a massive homeless surge, just like everywhere else, where the locals that were born and raised can't afford to live. Then we have developer accused of separating rich from poor in Convoy's Wharf scheme in Deptford. This is in the United Kingdom, in England, where they're separating the poor and the rich in different units to keep them, I guess, segregated. And Leeds. So in the UK, Leeds, the biggest rise in housing sales in the UK and the fourth biggest increase in housing prices. Now, here it is. Fourth biggest increase in house prices. Do you know what that means, my friends? Do you know what that means? That means that people are moving there in big numbers to Leeds because it's more affordable than living anywhere else within a vicinity of 100 miles. So people are all moving there and they're pushing up the price of housing. And it's usually locals that do that when they go to these smaller cities. The locals. Like me, when I left Vancouver, I moved here. We pushed up the price of housing up here because we left Vancouver, right? What is this? This is another one from England. Sorry for the intrusion. Screw off. Okay, there's Yahoo Finance. Millennials, major move as housing affordability crisis peaks. So millennials, big leap. Millennials are taking as taking as the housing affordability crisis peaks and COVID removes the barriers to remote work. So a lot of people are ditching the capital cities in droves as housing affordability crisis continues, with millennials making up a large cohort of the outflow, new research has revealed. This is from Australia. Everyone's leaving the major cities in Australia. It's time maybe to do a channel plug. It's been an hour. Let's do a quick channel plug. I did a video, Get Out of Sydney. I've been forecasting this 4 years ago. So let's go to a channel plug here. Let's go to the magnifying glass. Sydney. All right, let's check it out, guys. Here it is. Right here. Housing crisis, Australia, Get Out of Sydney. This is actually over 5 years, 4.5 years ago. It's going to be 5 years this February. I haven't lived in this place. This is in Vancouver. I haven't lived there in years. And it's only showing 3 years ago because I think the video got taken down twice. Housing crisis, Get Out, Australia, Get Out of Sydney. And that was years ago. Look at this. Sydney housing crash or buy now, melt up. Sydney housing ripoff. Lots of Australia stuff I cover here because it's happening all over the English-speaking world. Look at this. Look at this. 3 years ago, and it's longer because this is summertime. This is like 5 years ago in Vancouver. Look how young I am here. YouTubers, Mike Martin's here. Mike Martin's channel. I'm just here with Antonio. Look how small Antonio is.
in the park, hanging
he just
out,
turned 6.
enjoying this beautiful
There's
sunny
like
day we're
like
having
2
here.
there. Anyways, this brain drain. Educated people are leaving the major cities. Vancouver and Sydney, Australia, brain drain. And this was like 4 or 5 years ago. I made this story. So I've been saying this for a long time. Guys, don't forget to buy something on Teespring if you want to buy a mug or something, or a towel, or something for the mic in the night. If you want to support the channel, please go ahead and buy something from the channel. There it is there. And also, guys, don't forget to message me show tips here on Facebook. If you have any show tips, please go ahead and send me some show tips. And I'll give you guys my Instagram. If you guys want to message me on there, I get messages on there all the time. Go ahead and message me on Instagram. And yeah. We'll get another caller in a few minutes. Just give me a sec here, guys. Let me just go over this story here. So here he is. Here it is. The great brain drain. In 5 years to 2016, Sydney lost 64,756 people to regional Australia, while Melbourne lost 21,000. Wow, I might have to cover this as an individual story, maybe tomorrow, only because I covered it 4 years ago, and I've been saying this is happening for a long time now, like a big deal, like a really big deal this is going to be. All right. Australia stalls, migrant boom derails golden economic run. So I'm not sure what they mean here. The country has been successful in managing the outbreak, net immigration, including international students and those on skilled work visas, is expected to fall 85% in the fiscal year. So why don't they just use the current citizens to have a golden run, a golden economic run? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense why they need immigrants to prop up the economy. Yeah, I understand the foreign students bring in a ton of cash and they get an education, you know. I don't understand that. I never understood that, why they just don't allow the people in their country to do well. Senior Liberal defends first-time homebuyers scheme for himself. So obviously, liberal, like these people, especially in Parliament, we just had Lord Humongous on the show. He stated that basically these guys are all corrupt. So Senior Liberal defends first-time homebuyer scheme for himself. So basically, he could get his own place. And current proposal contrasts with his previous opinions following the election. And then basically, it's and this says here, first-time homebuyers are worse off. Yeah, getting those first-time homebuyer loans, guys, watch out, please. Don't get into that. That's like a really bad student loan or getting into a bad cell phone plan. Housing survey shows market now severely unaffordable. And this is in New Zealand. And in New Zealand right now, they're nurses, teachers, and middle-class professionals. So these are average wage earners, guys, nurses and teachers. Increasingly unable to buy homes in the cities where they work, with every housing market in the country now rated severely unaffordable. So right now, New Zealand right now is in a position where they're in severe unaffordability issues in all their major cities right now. Canada's about 50% of their major cities. Well, we don't have that many. Okay, like 50% of the country, if you want to, is severely unaffordable, and it looks like all of New Zealand. So they have to spend at least $20,000 in repairs in some of the places, and that's already hard to do when you have a mortgage of $600,000 to pay off. And Covey, fewer Kiwis expect house prices to rise. So they're saying that, and these are the houses you buy for $1 million. That's what you buy. This is not a house. These are homes. 1, 2, 3 homes. So they're saying that housing might slip 14% in New Zealand. And ANZ economists pick 12% house prices slide this year. If prices do go down 12% in New Zealand, quite a bit of people will be underwater. And if that's the case, then you're going to start to see a rush in the markets where people are going to start listing their properties. And this is where you start to see a massive oversupply in the markets. I could have been wrong about Australia being the first country to fall in the Commonwealth. It might be New Zealand first, then Australia. Could have been wrong on that. Anyways, let's get another caller on. I have Ashima here. She's waiting on the sidelines. Let's see if we can get her to weigh in on...
Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just a second. I'll just put you off the volume so that you don't get the echo. Just bear with me, Mike.
Yeah, sure.
Why I can't see the volume there? Yeah, here we go. Hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, better. And I need to lower the volume of the TV. Hold on, I'm watching you there.
Oh, you're watching me on TV?
Yeah.
Holy
YouTube,
smokes.
right? Yeah, I just like... All right, it's been a long time, Mike. Firstly.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks.
Yeah, it's been crazy, right? I was on a project, I was doing something and I had to complete it. But Mike, I've been hearing so much of late. So much and experiencing it all. Mike, first of all, I want to know, all this zombie money which is getting into the economy is not helping. The central bank can do whatever because the people who need to spend it are not getting it.
Right.
So it's not helping. Point number one. Point number two, Mike, there is cash shortage in the market.
Mm-hmm.
I can vouch for it. I saw hybrid bonds today, 10% return. I'm talking of top 5 banks.
Whoa.
10%, Mike. 10%. That means, look, the prices go up. The interest rates go down, the prices go up, right?
Right.
But it's not happening, Mike. The bond market is it's like bubbling up.
Yeah.
There's a bubble in the bond market. The prices have gone up. So now, and that bond, I'm like surprised. And they can call it like, they can have a call on that bond like, they say 2022, but I don't think they're going to call it because eventually, first of all, why does the bank need to raise money from the bond market at 10%?
Well,
the central bank should be putting enough reserves in there, right?
Of course.
That's how the central banks work.
Well, the New Zealand government, like last year, told the banks that they need to have 16% of reserves of what they have lent out. They don't even have 16%, and the governments are in New Zealand are telling banks, and they passed a law last year that they have to have at least 16% of some sort of money in their coffers, so they can hedge against the crash.
Yeah, that's called the cash reserve ratio.
Yeah.
So basically, and this is not their banking division. Well, it is a banking division, but we don't know which division, what division. For me, I look at the word trust, and I think that is something to do with the holdings of. See, they're holding each other, right? Over here, the trust is holding each other, right?
Right.
They hold each other. Every bank holds each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are actually just heavily holding each other. So that's how they make a lobby and they don't let the market correct. And if they think that this is how they're going to go, they're on the zombie world, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
No one, internationally, you're talking of investors, nobody is going to look at it because the markets are such a bubble here.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, I can let you know, I can vouch for it. I'm just not, and the banks, what I know, there have been a lot of defaults, but the properties are not going on the market as a default. Mm-hmm. We don't know what is the process, who like REITs or whatever, or, mortgage underwriters, what is happening here? There is, Mike, I'm telling you, this place is a big farce. Mm-hmm. There's so much of cotton on everything. There's nothing in open.
And this crap got worse when the Liberal government took over. Everything got like tripled, quadrupled worse.
But Mike, I hear Pierre Poilievre asking the government, why doesn't he contest? Why doesn't he contest for the elections? Mm-hmm. So it's something like, I feel that people are asking the questions, but they're asking because they've been told by the government to ask. Nobody's doing anything about it. Mm-hmm. I see that these liberals are coming back again. Why doesn't Jagmeet Singh pull the rug under the liberals? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well,
They know there's a fraud, and all they blame it
well,
on
the
is
only
like
well we
racism,
know. Okay, look,
racism. What
look
racism, Mike?
on this channel we know why. If they don't go the course they've taken, we would have been in a recession, depression, about 8.5 years ago. We should have.
Years ago.
We
Yeah.
should have, but we didn't. So what they
Yeah.
did was, again, back to those articles from 5 years ago, Canada bringing in 500,000 Chinese per year and for workers. But what about the people in Canada that don't have jobs? They're going to bring in 500,000 now from China every year? It
Mike,
doesn't
I
make
saw
any.
some-
It doesn't make any sense. Imagine
No,
what the people in China
no,
would do
for
if
financial sense. Yeah, absolutely.
500,000 Canadians were going into China per year to work and take their jobs. What do you think the Chinese people are going to do about that?
Mike, forget about Chinese people, or, forget about the basic. Let's look at the logic. You're bailing out these zombie companies. Why? How are we going to increase productivity? And then, Mike, forget about that. I see houses. I went and I saw so many houses. The Chinese, I don't want to say that specifically, but they were actually, it's not their fault. They were called in busloads over here to invest.
Yeah, they were coming in busloads, yeah. But that goes back to bringing in 500,000 per year.
I want to know who was permitting all this. Why?
Okay, but picture this. Imagine we get a busload of Canadians who go down to Mexico to buy houses. They won't let us do that.
Mike, if I take a Canadian passport, I cannot go to India and buy a house. I have to first declare I'm not I'm not an Indian. I don't hold any, I am holding a foreign passport now. What are you talking about? Forget about anyone going. If I am as an Indian origin, I go there and I have to answer before I buy a property or before I sell it. You know, and why not, Mike? If anyone for that matter buys a property, should be paying tax on it. Why should we pay tax? Why should we be going and paying back the government borrowing frenzy? Why shouldn't I want to know why do people need more than 5 or okay, let's put it up to 2 houses. Why they need it? I want to know. You should not be, let everybody live happy. Let everybody have a house to live in.
That's too much to ask for.
And if it is a second house, then you pay a tax on it, right? You pay too much tax on it.
That makes perfect sense. That makes actually perfect sense.
Why? I want to know why. And why can't they have co-op housing over here? Mike, there's so much of land. I saw it's so surprising. There's so much of land. All they need to do is build in some co-op housing scheme whereby everybody contributes and builds their own houses. Mike, there's so many people I know who are builders, who work for these builders. There's a nexus of builders over here. They don't pay these guys well, right? So those guys who actually build, I'm not talking of the builder, I'm talking of those people who actually build, can actually build, we all can come together, buy our land. But the problem is, Mike, they won't give us permissions, They only give permissions to the lobbies. They don't want to listen to any good, reasonable ideas because then they don't make money, right? And they only dwell on this dirty money, Mike. Who do you think finances their elections? What do you think is happening in US? This is exactly what's happening all over the world, Mike, and this is not a problem just to Canada. I mean,
it's happening all over the world, but it's happening in different phases all over the world, right?
Yes. You'll be surprised. Modi really cleaned up this. All this was really cleaned up by Modi in India. He really cleaned it up, And he really taxed. If I own a house and it's for an investment, I have to pay around 30% tax. It's a joke. No, but then that's all right because that's it. If you own it, you've owned it for an investment, you have to pay 30% of it.
Yeah. In France, they raised the foreign vacant home tax to 60%.
But then we have to understand, Mike, most of the people who own these houses are either corporates, banks, or these municipalities and people like such. So are they going to be, do you think they're going to introduce, or do you think Bill Morneau is going to tax himself? He owns so many trusts and then he sells his shares in the trust. Oh, they don't even pay taxes on their stocks. What do you think they'll pay taxes on these houses?
No, I understand.
So that's the problem, Mike. Till the system cleans up, we need to have someone who has guts, a man with honor and honesty. Honor talking doesn't work, Mike. You have to walk the talk. Someone who has to walk the talk.
Well, the problem is, again, Ashima, we talked about this on Mike in the Night. What's the point of having somebody that's going to go up there, put their life on the line, like Ross Perot? Again, we keep talking about Ross Perot on the show. A lot of people don't know who Ross Perot is. He ran against George Bush Sr., and he was winning in the polls, and he would have been president of the United States. He would have been the next John F. Kennedy, but and he wasn't there. He wasn't there for the money. And you know what happened? They threatened his life. Who?
Yeah,
George Bush threatened him and his family, and he dropped out of the race the next day.
Also, this is just not typical to USA or Canada, Mike.
Yeah, but
even
Ashima, what I'm trying to say here, what I'm getting to here is, what's the point of building and getting a good person to run and this and that, and then once you're in power, they're going to look to take you out, or they're gonna start putting sanctions on you or doing that because you're not following the global agenda. Then what happens?
That's it, Mike. We all have to sit down and think. I mean, like, is it government of the people, for the people, and by the people, or is it a lobby which is really making us go forward? Eventually, what is happening in US is something which is a reflection on what, this is it, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. We all have to think about what we are going to do to our generations. And it's not about Chinese or anyone else, Mike. We're all human beings. I mean, like,
no, I understand that, but the problem is it's the laws that are put in place that are not protecting us.
That's the problem. The laws are there, but they're just not working, Mike.
They're not protecting us, right?
Yes,
you know
how
hard it is for a Canadian just to move to the U.S.? It's impossible. I tried getting my paperwork, did everything, got a huge company to sponsor me. I did everything by the book. I even have to run ads in newspapers and online to make sure I'm not stealing an American's job. I did everything by the book. I paid $5,000 to a lawyer, and then after, you know what they told me on the interview? Oh, we're not looking for your kind right now.
See, that's that. And that's a shame, Mike.
No, it's not a shame. Because, but Ashima, it's their country. Okay, and if they don't want me in their country, they could just tell me like that. We're not looking for you, right? We're not looking for your kind of people right now. You're not welcome here. Okay, but it is their country. They could do that.
But then, but they should be straightforward and say, look, we can't. We have to hire someone who's an American.
Well, no, I wasn't taking an American's job. I already ran 6 months worth of ads that I paid for. 6 months of ads on commercials and like online and stuff like that. The company had to run the ads for the position I was going to work for, and after all the time it was there, nobody applied for the job. And then once they didn't apply for the job, I was approved at the company for the job. And then when I went to immigration for the final part, they told me that no, you're not. We're not looking for your kind right now to apply back in 5 years.
Mike, we've somehow learned this word diplomatically being correct. This diplomatically correct has really ruined us. Sometimes we all need to take a stand, and be clear about what we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just being diplomatically correct is not going to land us up, all of us, anywhere. We need to call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
We just can't, we have a problem at our hands. Mike, I know of so many people who are applying for jobs. You're right. There's students over here who've not gone back. And now those students don't have a job, and they're actually not even immigrants. They're actually students, and now the government is funding them because they were working and they're not able to work anymore. So they're getting their money, but who's paying for it?
Mm-hmm.
We're all paying for it. And it's not easy to get jobs in the market, Mike, for anyone who's even a BSc, MSc, MBA.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I'm telling you, it's not. Market is not what, it's like, and then they don't want anyone to be productive. They don't want anyone to have a business which is, they'd come up with some environmental conditions and,
or some bull crap, or you have to do this and this and that. Even in the small city I'm in with 7,000 people with an empty downtown core with no businesses, they gave me a really hard time to open my business.
It's a real shame, we should be allowing people to do what they like to do. And why else? We're a free world, Now they're telling us, oh, you can't enter any place without a mask. What is all this, Mike? Mm-hmm. And have you seen the markets today? You know what's happening, right? You watch Yahoo Finance.
Well, I'm always on Yahoo. I'm on Yahoo Finance right now. Look at this article scan. I'm looking at the Australian markets right now.
It's a 1.8 or 1.6 down, minus 1.6. How much now? Minus 1.6? I just saw. Right now, before talking to you, Australian markets.
Well, the markets, the all ords are down 114 points, And
Yeah,
the ASX 200 is down 110. Everything's down right now. Oil's still at 37.85. Gold is at 17.71. And Bitcoin, I don't know what that is in Australian dollars. And then the New Zealand Stock Exchange is down. Everything is pretty much down.
First,
The UK markets were down. And let me see the Hang Seng. The one in the Hong Kong markets are down 125. And the Nikkei 225 is down to 299 points. Everything is on a downward spiral.
see, Mike, that's the thing. We have to have accountability. I want to know that if there is a bank and the bank is there and is giving mortgages, what they fuss up the books, then they sell their own shares to themselves. I don't know what they do. I mean, buybacks, there's a big mess that needs to be cleaned up. It's not cleaned up. Forget about the GDP, Mike. Did you see IMF? They said that we're going to be, the whole world is on a negative GDP, but the worst are the Americas.
Yeah.
We need to clean it, right? Why we can't be, why you can't be straight on and why you have to be supportive on the banks? You should be telling the banks, and why you allow them to just give mortgages to people without even checking what's the actual value of that house. That same house was for 3 years ago 500 and now it's selling for 850. Is this the kind of world we want to live in? Excuse me. So then they say there's no inflation. I don't understand, Mike. Either Stats Canada is crazy or I am. And then they say the CPI is not there. There is no inflation. This is inflation. You're inflating an asset. That's pure simple inflation. Or they'll say, our CPI does not include something like PMI, and they'll say that it has this goods in it, or, no housing, only capital goods. And they'll come up with some fast one, where do people spend the most money? It's on their housing.
That's right. I just got this up here from Australia. Qantas Airline, Australian airline will permanently terminate 6,000 jobs. The problem is those are private sector jobs, and that's a lot of Australians not putting food on the table. 6,000 jobs were announced today permanently by Jetstar.
Yep. And then Air Canada, American Airlines, UA, Delta, everybody's, and they're taking the bailouts and still telling the staff to go away.
Definitely. Yeah.
Sad. And those poor people, they have these mortgages, and they were living like Etobicoke, and now people are going with Mike. People are not getting houses here anymore. GTA, they have to move out of GTA just to have a roof on their head, and then they have to work night shifts and a job in the morning.
Yeah, and a job in the morning just to have a roof over their heads.
It's a shame. And this is the system that we voted for.
No, nobody wanted this, but what are we going to do? The only way they could save this economy right now,
I feel like a system has to be in place. If a house is overvalued, it is overvalued. There's no two qualms about it. It's nothing to do with democracy or socialism. They say, if you go and ask them this question, they'll say, we can't be a socialist government. We're a capitalist economy. They have all these reasons they'll come up with, but they have to understand, you cannot give an approval for a house which was 3 years ago 500 and is now wanting to sell at 850. Why? If there is inflation, then you yourself say there is no inflation. And even if there is, it should be at 2.5 or 3 indexed at 3%, all right? So how did it go up to 850? Take it as an index the inflation, that the real worth of the house is this much, and the rest should be taxed at 50 or 60%.
Yeah,
okay,
but for them to do that, that's going to be helping us. And since when has any government helped anyone realistically, really help someone? We wouldn't have to be.
Their debts.
Huh?
They have to pay back their debt. The government has to pay back
the
this
governments
debt.
are spending more than what they're taking. That's the problem. So they're going to have to keep raising taxes to keep this game going.
Yeah, so they should be taxing those houses which are now 500 and selling at 850. Let the person who's selling the house, let them index the house. It should be indexed at inflation, which is 3% or 2.5 or 2.4 or 0 if there is no inflation. And then the rest should be 70% taxed or 80% taxed. Why we should be paying, now they're coming up with the COVID tax and things like that. They have to work out their own solutions, Mike.
Yep.
It's not fair. It's not socialist, but this is not even. It's not even a free economy.
Mm-hmm.
The system is not working in place, and CMHC has been saying, "Oh yeah, we were giving." If you heard, the gentleman's, he was live, and everybody was asking questions like how, like they don't want to answer anything. First of all, they don't want to answer how much of debt they have, how much of money they've
That guy. So
spinned
what
out,
was
and
the
they.
thing? And I made that joke up with the Mexican guy.
Yeah. And then besides that, there's also been the CMHC thing, going around. They asked him how much of the money CMHC has actually, what CMHC does is just ensures the bank's mortgages, right?
Yeah.
What happens if the default? They just print that money again. So the bank, see, Mike, the central bank can't print the money. It has to be printed by the banks.
By the banks, yeah.
So I don't know what's happening here. The whole system is broken. Nobody is asking anyone. Nobody has any accountability.
Mm-hmm. Well, no one has accountability. Of course, no
and
one
then
has
they say that
accountability.
emerging market, they take a loan from IMF and they pay back. They have to pay it back. Here it doesn't work like that. The developed countries, they print their own.
Yeah,
and they say that, okay, you have to pay back as taxes. Anyway, I think I've really spoken so much already.
No, I understand where you're coming from. There's somebody we got, it looks like a first-time caller wants to call into the show. His name is Jay. He's in the comments there.
Go ahead, Mike. Take him on.
Let me see if I could. Are you feeling better now that you've said all that?
Oh yes. At least I'm on people. I'm listening to people who think like me, and that's enough for me. Yeah, I just wanted to know before I let you go, Mike, what happened? I was wanting to watch your video this Saturday night one, and what happened?
Which one? The one from Mike in the Night? Well, they took it down. I got it back up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's back up. If you go to Mike in the Night, if you go to the carousel there on the channel, on the Mike in the Night section, you go. I'll show you where to go here. You just click on, go to the channel. Let me go to article scan here. Go to the channel and then let me go to my channel here. And then you'll see what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
It's the first one right here, Mike in the Night. They finally, it's from show. Yeah, it's the first one here when you scroll down on the channel under live streams. So if you go to the channel itself, you'll see it here. Here, I'll even put it in the link. I'll put the link in the comments if you want to watch it.
Definitely. No, I can find it. All I that's the way I watch your videos. It's just that I missed your Saturday night, and I usually like to follow up. If I miss it, I'll watch it.
No, the problem is this one was taken down.
Yeah, you told me about it.
So I got it back up now, so it's back up.
Okay. You take on Jay, Mike. It's nice to listen to everybody's perspective. Yeah,
let me see if he could call in or something. All right, we'll talk later, okay?
All right, good night.
Bye.
Bye.
So that's Ashima blowing off some steam tonight on Mike in the Night. There's somebody that wants to call in. I'm not seeing them here in my Skype messaging me. Ooh, there's Anthony. Ooh, I think I'm gonna call Anthony. He's been commenting for a long time. Come on, pick up. Come on, pick up. Come on, Anthony. I know you're there. Pick up. Come on, Anthony. That is, who I'm trying to call there is Anthony Ruvalakaba, who's always in the chat. Jay's asking, what's the Skype? It's Mike Martins, MikeMartins 1980. Mike Martins 1980. So yeah, people are saying that, there's tour buses going around with investors buying up properties and stuff. The government should have protected the locals more. You just can't go to any country and just do that. But in Canada, I guess it's okay, It's I don't know. I guess it's okay, So we'll see if we can get Jay on the phone here. Where's Jay? Jay, where are you, buddy? I tried calling Anthony. I know that I don't know if he wants to come on the show. Anthony, did you pick up the phone or what? I called you. So the problem with Skype is I have like 10,000 people on Skype now. And I have no idea, like, if when someone's messaging me or trying to get through to me, it's really hard for me to see them on here because there's just so many. I don't think Skype was designed to have that many people, for you to have that many contacts on Skype. I'm still see if Jay comes on. I want to, Anthony. Can you talk? Okay, there's Anthony calling back. Yo, what's up, man? Yo, I haven't heard. This is the first time I'm talking to you.
Well, I called into your show a couple months back, I think, talked about the ground here in Vancouver.
Okay. Oh, yeah, a couple of months ago. Okay, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've definitely further educated myself since then, too.
So, what do you think of that article that we were bringing up? 78 or 87% of Canadians want to stop foreign investing. Do you think that will help? Do you think that's the right thing to do?
Yes and no. Again, foreign investment is obviously a large part of why the housing market is so inflated. Personally, I think it's wrong to allow foreign investors to come here from countries and buy our property when we can't go to theirs and buy their property. First of all, I think that's wrong. Let's just get that out of the way first. Second of all, in regards to the whole, asset inflation aspect of housing, I'm no real estate expert, but when I go from a financial, from an investment standpoint or a macroeconomic standpoint, what I see is that the assets are being inflated because the yield is being squeezed out of the market, right? So you're seeing the yields go flat across the whole spectrum, right? You got government bonds, corporate bonds, equities are starting to get squeezed, and it's going to force investors into alternative investments, right? And I think the whole squeezing into alternative investments inevitably is going to inflate the housing market, at least temporarily, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But temporary, this has been going on. The sad part is this has been going on for years, right? And with Canada's binging on foreign investing money, and now with COVID kicking in and foreign students not bringing in the money, there's a lot of people selling their rental properties now, or Airbnb-ing them, or doing something to them because they're not getting those foreign students back anymore to help them with their, you know what I'm saying? And that's become a huge problem.
Yeah.
Even in Australia, it's been a huge problem.
Yeah, again, I'm no real estate expert, right? I mean, I know a lot of what's going on from watching your show. I gotta hand it to you on that part, right? Mm-hmm. A couple of things we've actually seen here. I mean, here in Vancouver, I've been getting flyers in the mail, right? And they're from real estate teams, and every flyer that I'm getting is saying, oh, we sold this property, we sold that property over asking price. This one sold. I got one recently. It was like this property sold 150 grand over asking price, right? Mm-hmm.
But what does a Canadian do when they get 150 grand over asking, pay off their debt? What do? They don't have any money or liquidity to get back in the market anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I think, it's a tough one. I think that, the generation that is in the housing market right now is, late millennials or boomers. Mm-hmm. Those are the people with money. It's hard to say what those people will do, right? A lot of those people, they want to take their money, they want to leave an inheritance, and they want to retire, mm-hmm. right? I don't think a lot of those people are looking for the headache of owning houses at this time. You can see a lot of people going to retirement homes or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am seeing where you're coming from with that. So, what do you think of the average home price in Vancouver dropping to $801,000? Do you think they say it will bottom out in 2021 to $801,000? Do you think that's enough for the average wage earner to get in yet, or does it have to bottom out even further?
No, it's not enough for. See, when you say the average wage earner, are you talking about? You have to think about the class of people that you're talking about.
Average wage nurses, kindergarten teachers.
No, it's not realistic. Again, everything's way too overinflated. what I'm noticing is I think a lot of the housing stem is going. I think a lot of the housing prices dropping and the rent dropping and all that, and is going to stem from the labor market, right? So if we look at the labor market and see what the labor market is doing, I think that is going to forecast, science going forward, right? I'll give you an example. So I have younger siblings, right? And my younger siblings are, they turn 14, 15, and they're looking to get jobs right now, and they can't find jobs for the life of them, right? And I think that there is a lot of competitiveness going on, and you're having people with these financial obligations that have mortgages, that have rent, right, that are competing now, that feel as if they feel, that they are entitled to get these jobs first, considering that they were laid off first, right? So not only is that generation getting screwed, but they're screwing the younger generation as well. So the younger generation most definitely has no chance of getting into this housing market, right? I think that unless we see some sort of median wage, it's unrealistic to say this, but unless we see some sort of median wage increase without the aspect of inflation going forward, I just don't see these newer generations or any generation really getting into the housing market unless we see a complete reform of the macroeconomic system, right?
Yeah, because the reason why I state average wage earners, because low to minimum to low wages. Okay, I can understand, those days, like in the 80s, packing bags at a grocery store and paying off your mortgage in 10 years is gone. Okay, so average wage earners, I'm kind of throwing that out there because those are our nurses, our teachers, our, people working at a car insurance company or something, or, people like that. So those people are like the medium average wage earners, and those are the middle class that's completely disappearing off the map. And if you watch,
that's the class that's getting screwed the most right now, right? Like those are the people that went and took out $1 million mortgages,
right?
And those are the people that went and bought properties putting 5% down, right? It's like nobody thought. It's almost like nobody did their due diligence ahead of time and thought maybe the economy's not in the best shape right now. Maybe I should be taking out $1 million mortgage. No, it's like no one thought ahead. All you had to do was look. Really, all you had to do was look, and I think a lot of this could have been prevented.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk mortgages, and you want to talk banks, what I'm seeing, from what I know, is that a lot of the banks will try to rid their balance sheets of mortgages by. So what they do is they create special purpose vehicles, and they move the mortgages into these special purpose vehicles, and then they wrap them up into mortgage-backed securities and sell them as mortgage-backed bonds, right?
Right.
So I don't think necessarily that having all this huge wave of defaults and credit defaults is going to necessarily affect the banks to the extent that we think is going to affect them, considering that they do rid their balance sheets of these mortgages. I think that the private lenders are going to get screwed, and I think that the investors that invest in these securities, the investors that invest for private equity infrastructure, these investors, these retail investors are going to get screwed the most, right? The bank is just going to pass it on to everyone else, and everyone else is going to get screwed, and these banks are going to walk up with their pockets full and say, "Oh, that's it. Sorry guys, you got screwed. We're good to go." Right? So anyway, sorry, I know I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, nothing. I was just kind of keeping the conversation going and see what you got there, but you got a lot.
Yeah, well, financial investments and stuff is more my field of expertise. Yeah.
So, I'm just kind of scared of the brain drain now. So the people in the upper wage earners are actually fleeing Canada. There's a lot of people. We just read an article there that a lot of Australians are leaving the major cities and leaving them into empty shells and moving out to the suburbs. And right now in Canada, we got a lot of people moving to the United States. We got a lot of our nurses. We were losing a ton of nurses in November of last year.
Oh, it's all inevitable. It was all going to happen anyway, right? if you tax people enough, you have people by the neck. You have people in a chokehold. People are going to want to leave, right? That was inevitable. What did we think was going to happen, right? And you want to hear something else? Okay, so I thought this was silly that we had this whole talk about property taxes being hiked, right? About this 7% or 11%, whatever it was, hike in property tax. But now the BC assessment for the property values are coming out, and the property values are coming out lower. I know they dropped at the beginning of the year due to some insurance conflicts with Strata or whatever it was. And so it's almost like they're hiking the property taxes to keep up with what they have now, even though the property values are dropping, right? They're trying to keep it in equilibrium. So the farther that the properties drop, the higher the property taxes are going to go, right? It's kind of like a bond, where the price rises and the yield drops, or the price drops and the yield rises.
I see that. I see that. That's a good.
Yeah. They're essentially trying to mimic that whole concept, right? And I think that no matter at this point, we're at the point now that no matter what happens, it's going to get, again, it just justifies the whole concept that it's going to get more expensive, right? They're not going to let us have more exposure or more access, right? They're going to keep us tied up. They're going to keep our pockets empty, right? They're going to keep us on credit, right? So
that's good. Well, that was a good plug, Anthony.
Well,
There was some good information there. There was a lot of good information there.
I'm just observing things, right?
Yeah. All right, buddy. I'm gonna let you go. Call into Mike in the Night and tell us some stories, man, about
Yeah, you know what? Gold and I'm very familiar with the whole gold and silver market. Most of my portfolios are all gold and silver, right? So I'm definitely down to call in for Mike in the Night or
Can't read Market Talk in the mornings. We're gonna have a Friday. We're gonna be talking about the war on gold.
Yeah, I'm in. I'll call. I'm in.
Okay, Friday morning. Set your reminder on the channel, eh?
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I set my reminders and I don't get reminders, right? So.
Oh yeah, well it's because if I was pouring gravy down my pants, you probably get a reminder like an hour before I start, so you don't forget.
Quickly before I go, you know what? I was watching your show in the car on the live stream here, and I got home, right, and I turned it off for a few minutes to make my dinner, cook my chicken, my broccoli, whatever. And I came back on my computer to find the live stream, and it didn't come up on my, most viewed on my YouTube. I had to go search your channel. And then when I searched your channel, I couldn't see it. So I had to click on your name and go into the videos. And then I saw it. So, it's like they're hiding it. Yeah. They're hiding it from you.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know what it is that's setting it off. I'm trying to figure out what's setting it off. What are people saying in the comments that's making them hide it so much? And I can't figure it out. I don't, maybe it's the things we talk about. I don't know, but I can't quite put my hand on it. So, anyway, Mike, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for giving us this information, Anthony. We'll talk soon, okay, buddy?
Yeah, no worries. Sounds good.
Ciao. All right, arrivederci. So that is Anthony. Wow, lots of info from Anthony there. Oops, my Skype closed. All right, there's a Jay that wants to come that has some pertinent information from SoCal, California. From SoCal, some inside information. Let me see if I see him here. There's Anthony. I just spoke to Stephen there in Melbourne, Australia, giving me some information. Where is he? Where are you? Are you messaging me there, bud? Where are you, Jay? Jay, where are you? You gotta message me something, buddy. Come on. Well, worst case scenario, he could call in next week. I'm looking here under my recent chats, and there's no Jay messaging me. Steve the Plumber says he blames Kevin Thompson. I can't see Jay here. He's not messaging me. Okay, I'm not getting anything here from So how are you guys all doing out there, man? Yeah, Mike Martins, 1980. Mike, Martins, man. Martins, not Mattins. Who the hell's Mike Mattins? Mike Martins. Mike, Martins, 1980. I know, that's a nice fireplace back there, eh, guys? Oh, his name is it's JM. See if JM's trying to message me here. See if there's a JM. Don't have a JM messaging me. Man, that's weird. That's okay, guys. It happens. It's part of going live, and it's part of being a channel that nobody. Okay. Web Wizards. I'm just trying to see who JM. There's no JM here trying to message me here in the comments. Yeah. That's what comes up in the search, Mike Matty. Yeah, you know what it is, people, is the problem is that I think even Skype is playing a part in making people not find me. But you got to remember, guys, I have it's moving into, I'll tell you exactly how many people I have on my Skype. 3,800 people on Skype. Yeah. 3,800 people on Skype. And it's when someone messages me, they gotta, it's gotta send me some sort of notification, or it just sits there in some weird order of some weird, going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Just sitting there. G-Man is asking a really good question. How do you break peeps out of linear thinking? That's a really good question. Maybe we should actually talk about that on this Mike in the Night. You know? Anyways, guys, we are coming up to our... Mike, do you think Bitcoin's going to go up? I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what... I don't know. So here's the deal, guys. Don't forget, let's go to Article Scanner here again. Guys, don't forget to set your reminders for Can't Read Market Talk on Friday morning. Also, Mike in the Night, The Sun Goes Down Alone. We're gonna be talking about quite a few things that are happening. We gotta be as PG as possible and stop swearing because they keep banning the shows, right? So I don't want my shows to get banned. So if you do call in, if everyone could, pardon their French and just, man, all my videos are just going down in views. Someone's asking, what do you think of the new CMHC criterias? Well, too little, too late. Their CMHC is telling, well, if someone's telling you that the price of housing is going to keep going up, you need to question them. It's like, why didn't they give these, CMHC? I don't know. I don't trust them. It's just another entity that's out there to make a profit. Lots of videos up to watch, guys. But guys, watch Project Tabletop. It's not bad. It's about basically turning the local drug den. This is the old drug den here. It's called Project Tabletop. I took the old drug den and I converted it into a store. And Anthony needs to visit me. Anthony in the comments, and I know I had what's his name? Sean come up. A lot of people come up. I had Sean. I had Shane. I had Kevin. Steven. Stefan. I had all kinds of people visit me last week. So we got a troll in the comments. Mike can't read. What does he know anyways? So let's get rid of this guy. Because there's a lot of There's a lot of trolls coming on here, and I don't mind freedom of speech and stuff and people saying what they want, but I know a troll when I see one that's just out to, and I don't know how to read. How does that make you feel? That maybe I might just be living a better life than you and I can't read. How does that make you feel? You know, I say that, you know, when I used to have these like broken down sleeper cars and I used to drive around town and no one, even people in Corvettes wouldn't race me. Oh, I'm not racing you. I'm not racing you. It's like, you know what I'm saying? So, too much trolls. Yeah. 3RG is throwing bots in your chat. No, I don't think it's 3RG, to be honest with you guys. I don't think he's doing that. But there's a lot of fighting going on in the comments tonight. Woo! Guys, stop taking everything so damn personal and stop fighting. Please. I don't need to ban people from this channel. Stop fighting. Tignim in the house. Mike, you're doing great. Yeah. And I want to thank a new member for joining the channel. Guys, if you ever want to join the channel, all the proceeds actually go to something to help the channel out. Whether it's fixing something or adding something to the channel. Look at this. Look at the studio I'm in. Just go here and join. Here it is, guys. Back to article scan. There it is. Join. Right there. And maybe one day I could afford to pay people to do some freelance. To actually start doing some freelancing for the channel. Like if they're somewhere in, let's say, Oregon and something's happening down there, they could go down, do some freelancing, and I could pay them via PayPal for doing a story for us, and then we could afford to get more better people on the ground, and you know, and basically I don't know, man, just growing in that aspect where we have reach, so we could have someone, we could have like people. Like, I could call somebody in Sydney and say, hey, you want to make $40 today? Just go to this at this place. There's going to be a rally there. Can you go there for Mike in the Night? You know? They go there. It's Saturday afternoon. The next day in Australia, it's usually daytime when it's night here. We could catch some daytime news at the same time and nighttime news and catch pretty much the whole globe at one time. Anthony saying more than happy to provide some third-party analysis of macro trends or current markets if you for you, Mike. Yeah, man, I'm FMVA certified. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Well, Oregon, new divide and conquer mask law. Uh-oh. Even Anthony saying you do corporate research. That's good. Then Axel Rose is saying, yes, Humongous is Mike's right-hand man. I don't have a right-hand man. Papa Piss saying, arguing fools and their temperament is futile. They are always right. Guys, nobody knows anything. Leave it at that. Just relax when you're here, man. We're not here to go to war with each other. Just leave it alone, man. Why are we fighting against each other for? It's the dumbest thing to come here and fight against each other. You know what I'm saying? Big Rob New Zealand says, nothing ever happens in here except New Zealand, except for endless oppression, of course. Mike Lamont saying, Island is selling. What island? And then somebody says, Mike, it seems that Donald Trump is going to lose. No, you're talking about Donald Reagan. Who's he going to lose to? Vegetable Joe? Guys, can everybody stop fighting in the comments, please? Please. Can everybody just get along in the comments? We're a small community. We don't want this channel flagged because of people's comments in the comments section. It's not fair for me. Don't bring it on the channel. If you guys have a problem, talk to each other on Skype after. Everyone knows everybody's Skype on here. Everybody's talked to everybody on this channel already. So if you want... yeah, someone's asking me to show my garden. Yeah. Guys, you guys talk about it on your own on Skype. So if you have an issue, fine. If you want to bring the problem on the show, we could bring it on Mike in the Night with no swearing, and we could organize like 30 seconds on each side, and you guys could discuss exactly what your issue is. Okay? Please. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, we could do one of those, and then I could have a bell, and then people could go back and forth and debate what they want to debate. Obviously, there's a lot of debating going on here. I don't mind it, but... And then now your mama jokes are coming out, and it's just left and right, and it's just holy crap. Yeah. Anyways, guys, go ahead and join the channel here if you want. Click the join button and be part of the channel. And any funds that do get, everything that gets funneled through the channel, I'm not kidding. Look at my studio. Look at that. Where do you think that came from? And, yeah, I've upgraded everything because of you guys, right? Yep. Trump or Biden. I think Trump is going to win. I think Vegetable Joe, I don't know, man. I just don't think he'll just forget everything like the next day, you know? I don't know, man. That's just me, right? Kevin would never have the nerves to debate Steve. He would get schooled. Yeah, Tignim is on her way. Yeah, I'm going to go on my way, guys, to where the air is free. I'm going to put my kids to bed. It is 9 p.m. here, local time. I thanks, guys, for being here tonight. And if you guys could share the video. My viewership has gone down to 47,000 views per month from 160,000 views per month. On average to 47,000 views per month. So the channel is becoming more and more shadow banned, I guess. But if you guys know I'm here at what time and you know where to find me, I don't think we'll have that problem if everybody's here, right? Anyways. Lord Humongous, good night. Anthony, good night. 3RG, good night. Bart, Bart, good night. Green Bean, good night. Steve the Plumber, good night. Thanks for calling in. Tignim, good night. TJH, good night. Who else we got? Bird 718, good night. Big Rob New Zealand, good night. Let me see here. Living the Dream, good night. Chris Valakiu, good night. Michael Luant, good night. Axel Rose, good night. Papa Piss, good night. Good night. Bart Jenkins, good night. Gary Maderos, good night. Toby Cooper, G-Man, good night. Thanks for joining the channel, G-Man. I appreciate that. Who else? Yeah, everything. There's a lot of people here. Jay, good night. Living the Dream, good night. Jay, sort out your Skype so you can come on the show. I know you're in California, so we need to get an update on what's happening there in California and where things are headed there. We need to know here on the channel, definitely. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a good night. And remember, guys, stay safe. And if you can't stay safe, please be careful. And thanks for watching.